Welcome to the first Digital Pathways seminar. This digital literacy series for small business owners is made possible by the Metropolitan Partnership Development Fund, an initiative from the Department of Jobs, Precincts and Regions. It is a collaboration between Bayside, Boroondara and Stonnington City Councils. This seminar is an introduction to digital strategy and brand definition. Today, we'll be exploring what digital strategy is, where it often goes wrong, and a simple way of identifying problems and developing strategic solutions. We'll also begin discussing the topic of branding, specifically what goes into defining a brand and why it's so important to nail your brand definition down before you move forward with your marketing planning. But before we do any of that, I'd like to take a moment to discuss the idea behind digital pathways and what you can expect from participating in the program. So welcome. You're here because you're a small business owner who has somehow found the time to step out of your comfort zone and explore the opportunities available to you in the digital space. So well done, because I know that digital marketing and strategy can be daunting concepts if you're unfamiliar with them. Digital Pathways is here to dispel the myth that digital marketing for small business needs to be complicated, or that to succeed in this space, you need to understand big data, run an aggressive SEO campaign, spend 10K on Google Ads, join TikTok, or hire a marketing agency. I can tell you from experience working in marketing agencies that some of the most valuable insights come not from spreadsheets, but business owners who speak to their customers every day. Business owners who, if you ask the right questions, can almost always identify what their business needs. The thing that marketing specialists are good at is taking that insight and connecting it up with the right digital resources. That would be platforms, strategies, or tools. In the case of small business, it's usually only a few well-chosen tools that are really needed. The thing is, as a small business or as a business of any size, you don't need to be everywhere on the internet, and you probably don't need many of the hyped up techniques that the digital marketing industry makes its bread and butter from. You only need to be where your customers are, and this course is going to show you how to do that. So let's start with strategy. This is a term that gets thrown around a lot and used to make things sound more sophisticated than they really are. In reality, strategy is a hopeful act. It's an informed opinion on how to win at whatever game you're playing. In a way, a strategy is a fantasy about how you want your business to look. That doesn't mean it's not a powerful thing, because good digital marketing strategy requires strong branding, insight into what your business needs, and at least an educated guess about where to find it. But it should never be a daunting thing. Marketing companies in particular like to make strategy complicated, basically because the more complicated something sounds, the more likely it sounds like you'll need their help. In fact, complicating strategy is a surefire way to ensure that nothing is achieved. A good strategy is a simple, realistic one. It has well-defined goals that are achievable with the available resources. It doesn't lean on buzzwords or big data, but is rather shaped by qualitative insights that come to talking with stakeholders and thinking creatively and broadly about what your business needs. A good strategy is also adaptable. Remember, if a strategy is a fantasy, then there is no right or wrong way to go about it. Without fail, once you hit the ground running, there are going to be elements of your strategy that will need to be changed or scrapped altogether to suit your circumstances and the realities of the market. None of these things means that your strategy is a failure. So now we know what strategy is, we'll take a look at how to come up with one. The first step is knowing what your problem is and drawing out the different factors that contribute to it. The 5 Whys system is a fantastic tool for this. This is a technique borrowed from Agile project management methodology, and it works by having you pare down the problem to its root cause, almost like a family tree. You start by defining the problem in the simplest terms possible. Next, you ask yourself why. You might come up with 2 or 3 answers, which is fine. You can branch off and deal with each one separately. You continue asking why 3 or 4 more times, on each occasion delving deeper into the factors contributing to your problem until finally you arrive at a root cause that you'll be able to fix. So as an example, here is a business with an e-commerce website, and their problem is that customers are abandoning their carts at checkout, meaning that customers are going to the site, filling up a shopping cart, and then beginning the checkout process, but never completing it. So there are a number of reasons why this might be happening. There is some level of cart abandonment is part of the e-commerce space anyway. Another reason is that users might be having a hard time navigating through the checkout experience. For example, if they're trying to buy on their mobile, maybe the box where they need to enter their email address has disappeared, or maybe there's just too much content to scroll through before they click the checkout button. Customers also might be window shopping. This happens online, where customers come to learn more about a product before they make their final decision. They might even be coming across a product for the first time and then go over to another platform like Instagram to do more research, say, see how something is styled. Unfortunately for the business owner, the places customers browse online are not necessarily the same places that they buy from. And finally, they might have been hit with costs that they weren't expecting that pushes the item out of their budget. Something like taxes, high shipping costs, additional purchase costs could contribute to this problem. So each of these issues that I've just listed can be split off from one another and pared down to their root cause. But for the sake of this example, we're just going to pick one and work through it. So we're going to go with customers are not committed to the purchase. So we ask why. Why are they not committed to the purchase? Again, there could be many reasons for this, and you could split all of those reasons off individually and work through them. So some additional reasons might be poor photography, a lack of detail in the copy, or it could be that they've gone onto the site to browse and that they've come across something for the first time. So why is it that they're seeing the product for the first time on the e-commerce platform? Now, on the surface, this might not sound like a problem. Everyone has to see something for the first time somewhere. And the fact that the customer has gone to your site is in some ways a good thing. It means they're engaging with your brand. But an e-commerce site is not a brand engagement platform. It's a purchasing platform. And in the digital space, it's typically hard work to get a customer to go to a specific company's site once, let alone twice. And whilst it's always good to have site traffic, the fact that the customers aren't making a purchase means that something's gone wrong in the lead nurturing process when they're starting to do their browsing. Here, it's pretty obvious that the reason they're seeing the product for the first time is because they haven't seen it on other platforms. And extrapolating from that the company hasn't managed to engage their customers on other platforms where they normally do their shopping. So why would a business not engage their customers at every possible strategic opportunity? The only logical explanation is that they don't know how. Specifically, they don't know where their customers do their browsing and research, so they can't reach out and engage them. We ask why again. Why don't they know this? They don't know this because they don't know their audience to the degree that's needed for their business to move forward in the digital space. They might have a broad idea about their audience demographic, but they don't know how their audience shops. Knowing your audience is crucial to good strategy and strong branding. In this case, the business probably needs to take the time to better define, research, and document who they're talking to so they can reach them on other platforms where they browse, and then make it a seamless transition from browsing on one platform to decision-making and purchase on the company website. So once you have your problem identified, the next step is to create and document a plan to solve it. The documentation part of this is often overlooked, but crucial. It enables you to structure your plan properly and have a defined starting point to return to if things go a little pear-shaped and you need to reassess. Over the 12 weeks of Digital Pathways, I'll be working with you to create and document a digital marketing plan for your business. Strategy is just the starting point. So this is the broad structure of a digital marketing plan and also of this course. Brand identity comes first, and it's crucially important. Next comes your marketing goals, which need to fit the SMART criteria. That is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and anchored in a time frame. Next comes the implementation plan, where you describe how you're going to be able to achieve your goals. Now, there are lots of ways of breaking this down, but for the purposes of this course, we'll be working with a FREAK framework. That is, 1, finding your audience, then reaching them with the relevant digital tools, platforms, and methodology, engaging them with content and strong communication strategies, adapting, evolving, monitoring, and pivoting with your strategy as required, and keeping your customers through retention strategies, loyalty program, and brand management. So the most important elements of any digital strategy are a well-defined brand identity and a well-defined target audience, which we'll be looking at more closely in week 3. If you don't have these two things right, the rest is going to go sideways. This week, we'll be looking at the basics of branding and working on documenting business brand identities in the workshops. Brand identity is all about knowing what your brand represents, knowing your product and knowing your message. Branding is a kind of overreaching strategy which shapes every aspect of your business. If you have a strong brand, you're already thinking strategically and will find it much easier to make planning choices. The right strategic choices are always going to fall in line with the values of the brand. If you don't have a documented brand identity, I strongly urge you to take the time and create one, whether it's in your own time or through this course. These 3 elements are the basics of brand identity, and they're essential to have if you want to develop a digital marketing strategy. These are the guts of your business, and they'll often provide you with the answers to the strategic questions you'll have to ask of yourself when you make moves in a digital space. You'll also be able to use them to build out your brand identity and make it more elaborate. Everything from your shop's color scheme to the type of social media you should be on can at least in part be answered by these statements. So the 3 statements are brand mission, that is the purpose of your brand. Why does it exist? The values of your brand, the principles that stand behind you and are the reason for why you do what you do. And your unique selling points, what makes you stand out in the market. So here's a working example of a brand identity. This is a new working cafe, and it's going to be called Paris of the South. So the purpose of this cafe is to bring European espresso bar culture with a little Australian twist and much better coffee to the suburbs of Melbourne. The philosophy behind this brand is classic, simple, and elegant without pretension. That means simple classic dishes made with sustainable, high quality, locally sourced ingredients, and the occasional Australian Indigenous ingredient substitution, an old world cafe dining sensibility and aesthetic. The mornings are frenetic and espresso fueled, the lunches are languid with lots of good bread, the staff are stylishly dressed, and a locals cafe where customers feel at ease and can chat with the staff. And what sets us apart? Well, a local focus in terms of locally made furniture, wattle seed pastries, locally sourced ingredients, and coffee roasted within 5 kilometres. European decadence found in the form of the marble Italian style stand-up espresso bar, which few of our competitors have bothered splashing money on, and a culture as well, a cultural statement, no phones and a standing bar again. Also food that's experimental without being intimidating. So this is the example, and key elements to take away from this are that the brand mission fits into a single sentence. This is your elevator pitch, and it should be kept simple and straightforward. The brand values. So these start off as adjectives most of the time, which work to evoke a mood. Simple, old world, locals cafe. Then they're followed with examples that expand on the terms and help ground them in the reality of the business. They paint a picture of what those adjectives would look like working in the real world. The unique selling points are wide-ranging and follow on naturally from the brand values. Again, these are short, sharp, and evocative unique selling points. In other words, they're marketable. So this week, that concludes our first seminar. Thank you so much for listening. This week in the workshops, you're going to have a go at building your own brand mission, values, and unique selling points. You'll also get an opportunity to experiment with the 5 whys system to help define your problems. If you could come to the workshop with at least a problem in mind that we can start working through, that would be fantastic. Thank you once again for listening, and I hope that you tune in next week.